Before I ever look at a venue, I look at the people, the guest list. For this particular event, it was a young AI company. So the question wasn't just where can we put them? It was where can we get them far enough away from their normal lives that they can actually reset, work together, and have some fun. And that brought us to Brasada Ranch, right outside Bend, Oregon. For the first few days, we basically made the ranch their entire world, until the last night when we finally took them off property for the first time. The experience started before they even got to the ranch. We arranged all of their airport transportation, and when they arrived, their cabins were ready for them. The cabins were shared, but everyone had their own private bedroom and ensuite. Then there was the shared space: kitchens, living rooms, porches, hot tubs. So you had privacy when you wanted it, but you also had a really natural place to hang out with the people you were traveling with. And because some of the cabins were pretty spread out, we had golf carts waiting for them as well. That first night, the founder's cabin became the gathering spot. We'd stocked it with beer, so people started showing up, grabbed a drink, and they were able to sit around the living room and the porch and have a long, very unofficial happy hour. Nobody really had to organize it. We just made it easy for it to happen. And that's usually what I'm looking for. Then there's the ranch itself. The Cascades are in the distance, horses, the sky, the smell of cedar is everywhere. You can spend a lot of money trying to create an atmosphere, or you can put people somewhere like this and let the place do the work for you. Brasada gave us a lot to work with. The cabins felt residential instead of corporate. There were places to gather, places to disappear for a while, and plenty of space to move people through the experience without it ever feeling like we were moving them through an agenda. That distinction was everything for us, because while this was a retreat, it wasn't intended to be a conference that happened to just have a nice view. So the next morning we got down to business. They had real work to do, and we gave them the space and time to do it. Then after the morning sessions, we split them into smaller groups and gave them different ways to experience the ranch: horseback riding, archery, axe throwing, different groups, different activities, and a chance to get out of the meeting room and actually do something together. Then we brought everyone together for the evening with a small 2-piece band, dinner, board games, the sunset, of course, s'mores around the fire. It really wasn't that big of a production, and it was fully intentional. After a morning of intense work, they didn't need another big moment. They needed a night where they could hang out together. Then, the next day, the work got even deeper. They worked collaboratively in the morning. OpenAI came in to meet with them and spend some time with their group. Then we shifted gears. It was time for dinner. And after dinner, we took them out to the courts. Glow-in-the-dark pickleball. LED lines, glow gear, music, the whole thing lit up against the dark ranch. And this was one of those moments where everybody's title just disappeared. You weren't the founder. You weren't the person who ran product. You were the person trying not to lose at pickleball. And after that, they kept the night going with karaoke back at one of the ranch houses. That's the stuff you really just can't manufacture in a meeting room. You create the conditions for it and let the people take it over. A lot of what made the retreat work was the little things. We stocked the cabins, drinks, snacks, grills, freezers, all the things people might want when they were hanging out at night. Because I don't want a guest to have to stop and think, where do I get this? Who do I ask? When does this happen? I'd rather they open the fridge and there it is. We also made sure transportation was handled throughout the experience, between the airport transfers and the golf carts, cars when they needed to go elsewhere. Nobody had to figure out logistics. They just had to show up. And that's a big part of what I think good hospitality really is. You do the thinking before the guest ever has to. By the final morning, they'd settled into the rhythm of the place. They'd worked together, they'd ridden horses, thrown axes. We even had them compete in the lap pool with a team challenge that was pretty hysterical. They had long dinners and late nights, so we did a little more work that morning, and then we changed the rules because up until that point, they hadn't left the ranch. Not once. And that was intentional. We wanted Brasada to become their world for a few days, but on the final afternoon, we were ready to break the bubble. I didn't want them to come all the way to Bend, Oregon, and never actually see downtown Bend, Oregon. So we picked them up and took them downtown. The first stop was one of the local breweries where there was live music, and we had reserved a space for all of the guests. Then the transportation picked them up again and took them over to Hawkeye and Huckleberry. We had a private dinner in their private dining space, good food, great drinks, and a completely different setting from the ranch. I loved that transition. They'd spent days together in this beautiful, very contained environment, and now suddenly they were downtown walking around, experiencing the magic of Bend together. After dinner, we didn't put them back on the bus. We walked them over to the after party at the Flamingo Room. So the final night had its own progression. Live music, dinner, a walk through town, drinks, then one last place to hang out together, and it all felt like the perfect ending. Not because we'd announced that it was the end, it just kind of felt like that. The next morning, the cars were waiting. Everyone went back to the airport, and that was it. And I think that's what I love about doing retreats like this. The goal isn't to fill every moment, it's to create the right rhythm, give people somewhere beautiful to arrive, space to work, things to do together, and then give them room to wander off and do nothing. Take care of the logistics so they don't have to. And then when the moment is right, change the scenery completely. Brasada really did give us the perfect setting for that. Our job was to choreograph everything that happened inside of it. And then on that last night, we took them out into Bend and let the experience keep going. That is the difference between booking a retreat and actually designing one. Skip the stars, trust the seal.